Hi everyone, I'm Phil Young. I chair the Football Supporters Society of Bury, and Neil's asked me to um, provide a quick update basically to everybody on how the structure of the organisation work, how it all hangs together and interrelates to one another. I had a few questions about it. We've got new members joining all the time, so it's always a good idea to do a quick update. We've sent out loads of information on this previously, but I'm conscious that sometimes a picture is better than words. So I put together this brief slide on it, which hopefully makes it self-explanatory. Happy to answer questions on it if needs be. You can contact me on chair@fssb.co.uk if there's any outstanding questions on it. So first of all, the society itself is a community benefit society. That's the one at the top of the page there. That means it runs. It's something. It's kind of somewhere in between a charity and a mutual society. It gets some tax breaks, so it's good to get money and roll-up capital in there as well. It doesn't pay any corporation tax. It's not VAT registered at all. So all it does from a financial, from a trading point of view, is collect membership fees and occasionally donations in there, and that's literally it. We're not allowed to do additional benefits for people. We've looked at this in the past. Would love to give discounts on season tickets or bits and pieces like that as part of the actual membership. But unfortunately, it would contravene the tax breaks that we get. So for those reasons, we don't do it. We just take membership fees and occasionally donations in there, and that's about it basically. So all of the members are sat in that society. It's actually an amalgamation. We voted that through 12 months or so ago now between two different other societies, the Shakers Community Society and Bury Football Club Supporters Society Limited. Those two societies are actually technically owned. The assets are owned by the new society, which is the Football Sports Society of Bury Limited, which means that anybody that was a member of those two beforehand, provided that they're still paying their membership fees into it, are also now members of the Football Sports Society of Bury Limited. We're going through a process still, which is quite a long, painful one, of transferring people across and getting them to sort of stop paying into the old society and to sign up to the new society. The new society, you can view everything at www.fssb.co.uk and sign up there as well. If you've had emails from us notifying you about how to do that, then that's great. You can crack on with moving across. If you haven't had an email through yet, don't worry about it. We'll get to you in due course. We're just phasing all of that through as we migrate people across and ironing out a few bugs and a few problems along the way with it all. But we're making steady progress on that. So the Football Supporters Society of Bury, I'll just call it the society from now on, has got an ownership in two different things. First of all, Bury Football Club 2019 Limited, which is a company limited by shares. You can see that on Companies House, and it is effectively Bury Football Club. We set it up as a separate company from the Community Benefit Society for a number of different reasons. From a tax point of view, it works quite well. Equally, if we were ever to get into the EFL, which is a long way off right now, but the EFL don't actually recognise community benefit societies. You have to be a limited company to be able to get entry into those leagues. So we've set it up in that way right now. The society owns 100% of the shares of Bury Football Club 2019 Limited, and it appoints all of the board members and all the various people that work in Bury Football Club. So it's got 3 full-time employees in it at the moment, Neil, Stuart and Ben. And it's often referred to as the Football Club Board. In reality, it's a combination of people who operationally run that football club and make sure that it works. They're not all statutory directors. Some of them have sort of FA league required positions, like chairman, like secretary and things like that, but they meet together as a group, as a sort of executive committee, if you like, and run the football club on behalf of the society. So we delegate some of the responsibilities of those guys, and the society board members, who are all elected, have some oversight over what they can do and can poke our nose into it, ask questions, intervene if we feel like it needs to be done. But from a society point of view, we're not hands-on involved in the day-to-day running of the football club. The other part to it is called what's called the Bury Football Club Company Limited, which is a company limited by guarantee. Company limited by guarantee they're fairly unusual. You know, certainly I've not come across a company limited by guarantee too much. But it's the business that owns the Gig Lane Stadium. It's the organisation that owns the Gig Lane Stadium. It's registered at Companies House as well, so you can have a look at it on there. The society is a joint owner with Bury FC Benefactors Limited. Bury FC Benefactors Limited is a company limited by shares. It's a bunch of private individuals who put the funding in that meant that we were able to use that to match fund against government money to buy the stadium back in the first place. The society itself, that part of the grant funding terms requires the society to be in control, if you like, to have the majority say in the running of and management of the asset. And as a result, you know, unless somebody wanted to pay off the government's £1 million that they've put in, the organisation itself will remain run and controlled by the society. The society basically has got 4 board members and the majority voting rights as a consequence. Bury FC Benefactors has got 3 board members and 3 votes for decisions that need to be taken on there as well. So that's how the majority ownership works. There's no real financial rights involved in it. There's not, and I know people have used the phrase 51.49% in the past. There's not actually any shares in there. There's just 2 members. The 2 members of that company limited by guarantee are the society and Bury FC Benefactors Limited. So they are equal from that point of view. It's just the voting rights that are different as far as that's concerned in it. It's actually in some respects, I think, a good thing that the stadium was actually held in a different company. It meant if the football club ever went bust, it would mean that you don't necessarily lose the stadium at the same time, and vice versa. The one complication to it that's cropped up of late is that the football club itself doesn't directly own the stadium. The society actually has a controlling interest in both of these two, but the football club itself, which as far as the FA and the leagues are concerned and people like that, or any funders that are funding into the football club itself, like the Football Foundation, their only interest really is in the football club and whether it owns the football stadium. So the issue that we're trying to address at the moment is how do we prove that the football club has got an absolute right to play at that football stadium in perpetuity? It seems like a daft question because of the society's ownership of the 2 things in there. There's some complicated legalities involved in there as well. But I don't think there's any issues around the fact that people want the football club Bury Football Club to be playing at Gig Lane. It's just a question of how we actually prove and demonstrate that that's the case and that it's not possible for anybody else to change that or to alter it. For example, somebody coming in and buying a majority stake in any of these organisations where it's a company limited by shares in particular, where that's possible. We just need to prove that that's not possible. It's not possible without approval of the society's members. So hopefully that provides a bit of an overview as to how all of that works. The society decides who it wants to represent itself on both Bury Football Club and Bury Football Club Company Limited as directors, as officers, whether it's chairperson or secretaries or whatever those positions are. It has got the ability to have its say in who it wants to be on those particular boards or committees or whatever it is. And we delegate a degree of responsibility to those people to get on with doing the job. So Neil, for example, Neil Sears, he's tasked with running the operations of the football club and to some extent now the stadium itself, making sure it's profitable, dealing with employees, the people that work there. They both report into him ultimately, and organising all of the resources that are required to run both the football club and the stadium itself, which is complicated. It's hard work. We're at the real beginning of this particular journey at the moment. It's been a tough season so far because we're playing with crowds of 3,500 in a league where that's unusual. But the revenues have been fine. We've managed to make it work so far. And I think by putting the 3G pitch into the summer, things will really start to take off over that period of time. We'll be able to use the stadium every day of the week. We'll have lots of footfall in there, lots of people coming in that maybe wouldn't normally be using the stadium as well. We've got loads of ideas as what we can do to grow and to develop it. It's just a question of trying to finish off these last few bits and pieces to get the 3G pitch in and to get things up and running. So there'll be a quiet spell over the course of the summer whilst all that work goes on. And then I think things will really start to take off as the new season comes in. The way in which the supporter society actually works as well is we now only have adult members going in there. There's some plans to introduce a different scheme for junior members at some point in time. The adult members have to be over 16 to be able to vote. So if you're under 16, please don't sign up to the scheme, because we've had issues with that in the past and had to exclude people's voting rights. We've run, totted them up, I think 7 votes in the past 12 months or so. So we do actively send votes out to people. There's a real wide range of things that we ask people to vote on, from the original merger of the society to putting the 3G pitch in, things which are a little bit more for fun, like picking the away kit for next season, as well as voting for who you want on the board itself. So it's really important that we have as many people as possible that signed up to that scheme so that you can vote. The more people that there are to vote, it's good from a financial point of view, but also that there is safety in numbers. That the more people that are actively engaged and involved in voting and helping make those and shape those decisions, the more accurate the results are going to be. On top of those 7 votes, we've sent out lots of surveys, lots of polls and things like that as well. I'm a big believer in data-driven decisions. So we can all sit in rooms and chat and have ideas thrown around, and in a lot of cases the loudest voice gets heard the most. We send out a lot of things where we can actually do something that the results that come back in are actionable, and we do things with it. And yeah, I'm pleased to see that most of the things that we're doing and the decisions that we're making have been validated by members so far. We've had well over 90% of approval rate for most of the things that were put forward so far, which gives me a degree of confidence that we're heading in the right direction with everything on it as well. So as I say, if there's any other questions that you've got on it, send them over to chair@fssb.co.uk. Hopefully the members that are watching found the financial update that we sent out earlier this week useful as well. They do take an awful lot of time to put together some of this information. It is quite detailed. I know sometimes it's more complicated and more detailed than some people want to get involved in, but I'd rather that they were accurate and they were right, rather than just lots of volume. We're not huge fans of interacting massively all the time on social media, because that tends to breed the wrong kind of information. There's a huge amount of misinformation out there, so we're trying to stick to some fairly set piece ways of communicating things out. We've done, I think, last year we did, between May and the end of the year, we did 5 or 6 different member general meetings. So there are structured ways of doing these sorts of things as well. And we're trying to support Neil in the way in which he's doing his regular one-to-one his updates and his Q&A sessions for people to get involved in as well. It's difficult to deal with huge volumes of questions and emails and things like that. We do make mistakes, we'll miss things from time to time, but hopefully the amount of information that we're putting out there, certainly the feedback that I've had from other people involved in football and the football clubs, is it's far greater and it's far more engaging, and we're getting better results as a result of that, in terms of number of votes and revenue coming through than I think any of the other football clubs, with the exception of a few of the Scottish clubs. The likes of Hearts have really mastered this just because of their sheer scale. So hopefully that all makes sense, and look forward to speaking to you again at some point in the near future.